The fate of all life on Earth could be extinction. These are not the words of a doomsday prophet, but from Dr. Michio Kaku, one of the world's most respected physicists. His warnings about colonizing Mars will change how you think about humanity's future in space forever. While SpaceX moves ahead with bold plans to go to Mars, Kaku is raising serious warnings about dangers most people never think about. What he has learned about living on Mars is both frightening and very important for our survival as a species. This is not science fiction. It is a harsh scientific reality that could decide if humans succeed in living among the stars or become trapped on a distant, dry desert planet with no way to return home. Dr. Kaku has spent years studying the hard truths about Mars colonization. His conclusions are not hopeful. While many celebrate every achievement by SpaceX, Kaku warns we are rushing toward a disaster hidden as progress. His message is very clear. We must become a species that lives on many planets, but not in the way we are currently planning. Mars is not just another place to visit. Kaku calls it the Great Filter, a test that could either raise humanity to new heights or destroy our dreams of space travel completely. The scary truth is that we are treating Mars like a backup Earth, when in fact, it is a death trap for people who are not ready. Kaku's warnings cut through the excitement and hype with sharp accuracy. He reveals serious gaps in our plans that could be deadly. What he found about how ready we are, or rather not ready, should make every space fan stop and rethink what they know about colonizing Mars. One big risk no one talks about is what Kaku calls the logistical nightmare. Colonizing Mars is not just hard, it is full of problems that could trap humans in impossible situations. Mars offers almost no protection from deadly cosmic radiation, which would slowly harm people from the inside. The atmosphere on Mars is very thin, only about 1% of Earth's pressure, so without a pressure suit, your blood would literally boil. The temperatures can drop to minus 80 degrees Celsius, making even Antarctica seem warm by comparison. But what worries Kaku most is the supply chain problem. Earth and Mars line up in a way that allows cargo shipments only every 2 years. If that window is missed, colonists could be cut off from Earth for 26 months, with no rescue, no emergency supplies, and no way to come home. This could mean that, if something terrible happens, there might be no second chance. The most frightening fact is that we are rushing toward this future without fixing these basic survival problems first. If you find these facts shocking, don't forget to subscribe. We bring you the latest science and warnings that mainstream media often ignore. What Kaku reveals next will change how you think about humanity's future in space. Here is the twist that makes Kaku's warnings even more troubling. It is not just that we are unprepared, but that our current plans might ruin the entire idea of colonizing Mars before it really begins. Kaku talks about a point of no return, where once a permanent base is set up on Mars with today's technology, colonists will depend completely on Earth to survive. If something happens on Earth, a sea crisis, economic collapse, war, or natural disaster, the supply line to Mars could be cut off. This would mean a slow and sure death sentence for everyone living there. Even worse is the psychological impact. Kaku warns that the isolation, the long communication delay of up to 24 minutes, and the fact that you can never quickly return home will cause a mental health crisis worse than anything ever seen. We would not just be sending explorers to Mars, we might be sending people into long psychological exile. What do you think is humanity's biggest blind spot when it comes to Mars colonization? Let us know in the comments before we share Kaku's most shocking prediction about what could go wrong. Remember, Kaku's warnings are not just guesses. They come from hard science and harsh mathematics. The deeper you look into his research, the more worrying it gets. This is not about stopping Mars colonization. Kaku supports the idea. What scares him is how our current rush and plans could turn humanity's greatest achievement into its worst failure. Here is why his warning is urgent. Every day we delay solving these big challenges, we get closer to a time when political and economic pressure will force us to send missions that are not ready. Kaku fears that the first true Mars colony could become a death trap that sets back space exploration by decades or even forever. The stakes are very high, and time is running out to do this right. Now the harsh truth about terraforming Mars, the process of making it more Earth-like. Everyone talks about terraforming as the next step, but Kaku has done the math and it is terrifying. To make Mars even a little more livable, we would need to raise its temperature by just 6 degrees Celsius. That might sound easy, but it is not. Doing this would require giant space mirrors or orbiting solar collectors, huge structures bigger than anything humans have ever built. These industrial projects would be much bigger than the International Space Station. Here is the worst part. Current technology is not only not enough, but we are centuries away from having what is needed. Without these huge structures, Mars will stay a frozen, airless desert. Every breath of air, drop of water, and bite of food would have to come from Earth, costing an enormous amount. The brutal fact is we are planning to settle on a planet we cannot even begin to terraform. It is like trying to build a house before we invent concrete. Still think Mars colonization is humanity's destiny? Kaku says we are going about it the wrong way. His next warning is surprising. We should not terraform Mars yet. Instead, we should terraform Earth's thinking first. This means we need to change how we think about space colonization. The problem is not just technical, but philosophical. We are rushing to escape Earth's problems instead of proving we can fix them. Kaku says this will only bring Earth's failures to Mars, causing disasters on 2 planets instead of 1. What comes next in his analysis will challenge everything you believe about humanity's future among the stars. One of Kaku's scariest warnings is about the psychological collapse no one is prepared for. Living long-term on Mars will not just hurt our bodies, it will break down human minds in ways never seen before. Imagine this nightmare. You're 140 million miles from Earth, stuck inside the same 4 walls every day, breathing recycled air, and eating the same processed food. Every conversation with loved ones has a 24-minute delay, making real connection impossible. Outside, the view never changes, just a never-ending red desert. Kaku warns this sensory deprivation, combined with total isolation and knowing you can never go home suddenly, will cause mental breakdowns on a massive scale. Add to this the constant radiation threat, muscle loss from low gravity, and no way to get emergency help, and you have a recipe for mental collapse. We are not sending explorers. We may be sending vulnerable human minds into prolonged psychological torture with no escape. Kaku is not alone in these worries. Dr. Robert Zubrin, an aerospace engineer and founder of the Mars Society, agrees. He says we can simulate gravity with spinning habitats. We can grow food with advanced farming. But we cannot simulate hope when despair takes over. NASA's own psychological studies show astronauts on the International Space Station, only 250 miles from Earth and with constant contact, already show signs of depression and mental decline after 6 months. Now imagine this isolation lasting years, with no chance of emergency evacuation. Andy Weir, author of The Martian, who worked with NASA scientists, also says the psychological challenges might be impossible to overcome with current technology. Here's why Kaku and other experts say the warning is not about if we should go to Mars, but how dangerously unprepared we are for the human cost. Here is the hardest truth. Mars colonization will not save humanity from Earth's problems. It will make them worse, in the most dangerous place possible. The biggest mistake driving our Mars obsession is thinking of it as a way to escape Earth's failures. Kaku destroys this fantasy with clear logic. The cost alone should make people want to fix Earth instead of abandoning it for a harsher world. Think about it. We cannot solve climate change, poverty, or resource shortages on Earth, a planet designed for humans. Yet we think we can build a thriving civilization on a frozen, irradiated desert where every mistake could be deadly. Kaku warns, this is not optimism. It is dangerous delusion. Mars should be humanity's backup plan, not the main one. Relying on Mars before fixing Earth is like leaving a sinking ship for a lifeboat that is already filling with water. The result is drowning twice as fast. So what is the end game? Are we doomed to repeat Earth's mistakes on Mars, or can we build a sustainable future among the stars if we rethink everything? Kaku's warning is not about giving up on space. It is about preventing our dreams from becoming a nightmare. Rushing to Mars with today's mindset and technology is not brave exploration. It is reckless danger on a huge scale. Time is running out. Every major space agency is pushing forward, with plans that ignore these basic problems. What Kaku reveals next about the reality of building the necessary infrastructure might be the most sobering truth about how unprepared we really are.